Welcome into another episode here of Hot Topics on pubsportsradio.com. I'm here with my man, Jeff Nadu, the big man on campus. Interesting topic that pops up today, Jeff, as we get some, ESPN reports, some SportsCenter reports over picking players that are going now from high school directly to the pros, but not so fast on the NBA, right?
Yeah, you're starting to see, Donnie, kids make decisions on what they're going to do next. Obviously, the time is now to pick, am I going to go to college? What am I going to do? And look, most of these kids have already decided. You look at really everyone in the top 10 outside of one or two players have decided where they're going to go to college, and most have decided to go to college. But we got some big-time news today that the number one player in the country, Jalen Green, is not going to college. He's going to go to the NBA. So, or not the NBA, the G League, which we'll get into. But yeah, it's really an interesting topic, and it's nice to have something to talk about.
You know, it's really good because I know we might be on differentiating points here, but that's good. And that's the whole reason why I bring up hot topics, to have some stuff to go back and forth. When we're looking at this move here, right? So we'll take a look, and this all dates back to, Kobe Bryant obviously made the move. Kevin Garnett made the move. LeBron James made the move. There's been a lot of superstar players who are ready to make the move, but obviously a lot of those guys have still fallen through the cracks over the years until the NBA stopped allowing high school players to go directly to the pros. Now, I don't like this rule here that, we'll let you in the G League, but not the NBA. I think if they're going to do this, Jeff, anything associated with the NBA, why don't they just let them in anyway up front here? I don't understand the move that will go to 1 year to a G League.
Well, that's one thing we agree on with this topic. Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think you should be made if you want to go to the NBA and you feel you're ready to go to the NBA, then I'm all for it. And look, I do have I'll make the point after on why this could backfire for Jalen Green. But here's the truth of the matter, Donnie. Jalen Green can go to the G League, and he can make a nice chunk of change. It's said that when he goes to the G League, he'll make it upwards of $250,000. That's a nice chunk of change to make.
It's $125, the max salary, it says, for the G League.
Yeah, but he can make – keep in mind, Darius Baisley and people like that who did this as well, they were able to grab some endorsements as well. So he's going to be able to make some money here. It's definitely, as you said, you're going to get that base 125, which is solid. I mean, for 1 year, you go and you can make some money, or you go to college and you're basically used for a year in your likeness and not get anything for it, which, is obviously something that a lot of kids do. The problem Jalen Green could have, Donnie, is he could get completely exposed, and then he's got really a tough future. So do you sell yourself out for, let's say $250,000 with the endorsement? Do you do that and say, you know what? I'm going to take a shot with myself and take a chance on me. It could work and it could backfire. Do I think, Jalen Green's going to be the next LeBron James? I don't know. But you could be the next Darius Baisley, who goes to the NBA and does very limited things. He makes a nice living, but he's never going to get a max deal probably or anything like that. So, yeah, I think there are things that backfire. But, look, you look at him. Why go to college? I'm not really going to get an education here. I'm not going here to get an education. I'm going to prepare myself. But I agree with you. I think if you're going to let kids go to the next level, they're either going to fall flat in their face or they're going to fall it's really about them just trying to limit that happening. So they'll say, well, we'll just let them go to the G League. If they fail there, it doesn't really come back on us because it's the G League.
There's a lot of good points that you bring up here. And here's the crux of my argument that it lands on. If I'm an NBA team, Jeff, I love this move. Do you know why? Because I'm going to see this kid out of his element, not playing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds. He's going to play with a lot of grown men in the G League. So remember those picks like the Anthony Bennett's of the world, the Markelle Fultz. Now, look, there's been a lot of number one picks that have worked out really well in the NBA. But taking a look at some of those guys that failed, wouldn't they have loved to see that, oh, my God, Markelle Fultz can't shoot. I'm not going to be the Sixers and trade number 3 to go to number 1 and use all that capital and take him. Anthony Bennett flat out couldn't play. Wouldn't it have been nice to see Anthony Bennett playing in the G League saying, boy, this guy's really overmatched here. Maybe we're looking at the 28th overall pick, not the number 1 overall pick. But if we take a look overall investment-wise, which is what you bring up, because the kids do want to get paid, yes. And $125,000 for 6 months of work is really good pay if you can get it. And let's just say your agent hooks you up and maybe you get even a shoe deal, Jeff, for this kid where the Adidas wants him, right? And they say, well, look, you're not in the pros yet. We really want to get our hooks in it. We'll throw $1 million your way next year. We'll give you $1 million. We're our Adidas plus on top of your salary. Boy, that adds up really well. But where the argument for me falls short is the best thing you have going for you, Jeff, as the number 1 high school player is the potential factor. Where if he sits out and they're saying everything like, hey, he's going to be the number 1 pick when he gets in the draft. I want my guy, Jeff, playing the least amount of basketball in front of people above my peer grade than I possibly can. Because if you look overall at the drafts of the past, let's just take 2019, right? Zion signs a deal. It's $44 million in the NBA over the first 4 years of that contract to go number 1 overall. Let's just say this kid still is really good, but you know what? He has some flaws in his game. He's still going to go top 5 and goes number 5 overall. That drops your total compensation down to $29 million. That's a $15 million drop because you might have exposed yourself because you came out and went to the pros doing it the right way and seeing your real competition going up. But that hurts you long term. Your agent should be able to steer you away from that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Donnie, wherever you go, you're going to be exposed or or you're going to do really well. I don't think if Jalen Green goes to Oregon and doesn't play well, his stock's going to go down considerably. At least he went to a league and made some money. Look, it's a double-edged sword. I feel like if you're going to do it, like for instance, with this lockdown, do it or don't. Don't have certain people doing things. Either do one thing or do the other. And if you're the NBA, either allow it or don't allow it. But I do think this obviously hurts college basketball. You're going to see a lot more kids saying, you know what, I can make, you figure 125 grand over 6 months. That's over 20 grand a month. Or I can go to college and live in a dorm and not make any money.
But because if we're just talking about like those top 10, you tend to agree with that because you think like Jalen Green says, and I love the competitive nature of him saying, I'm not going to college. I think I'm good enough, and I'm going to press this issue and go dominate and play really well in the G League so I do go number 1 overall. That probably, Jeff, is going to happen. But if I'm just an advisor around him saying, dude, go 1 year to Duke, kick ass against 18-year-olds, you're still going to be the number 1 pick, and you're going to get that $44 million. You're going to get that Duke hype machine, and you're going to get that big money contract from Adidas as well. The only thing I look out for these kids is, and I love it, and from an NBA perspective, if I'm a Sixer fan, Jeff, right? And again, this is what he always brings it back to. I want to save my own franchise. If I get an extra look at, again, I keep bringing up Markelle Fultz because of how much it set the Sixers back. If I got to look at Markelle Fultz and I said, he can't shoot. Yes, boy, we saved so much on this, and we're going to make a better pick at that time. As an NBA general manager, I love the fact they can't come in from high school and kids are starting to go to the G League so I can properly evaluate them based on what their draft stock's going to be. Yeah,
I mean, it's fascinating to think about on, if I'm a kid, do I go, I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Donnie, we got to remember, money talks, man. And look, nowadays it's so hard. I mean, so many programs are under the microscope now. I mean, you're not able to move money around like you used to be able to. Every program's under the microscope. I just look at this kid. Look, the jury's still out. Look, Jalen Green's a great player. I mean, you got to realize where he went to high school, it's like it's different than your normal public school. It's different than your normal Catholic school. It is basically a travel team that's basically sponsored by a school. That's how they basically connect. It's part of a school. They're their own group. And look, Jalen Green played the best competition in the country. He was playing some of the best players in the country. So he does have the stature and the ability to do it. It's just a question of, look, playing against 18-year-old kids and 17-year-old kids is a lot different than playing against 25 and 30-year-old kids, which is what the D League is. You got grizzled kids that have been in there for a few years that are going out
and they want to shut you down, like this new hot shot coming in the league. Let me make my mark right here and hold him to 4 points.
And the D League's tough because all those kids are really good, and they're just south of the NBA. So it's like they're all going to put tons. At college level, you're playing. Let's say you play 35 games of the season. 20 are going to be against a low-level competition. Like you're playing the UNCGs,
and you have the best. Like if you're going to Duke or Kentucky, right? Your four wingmen on there, along with you being the fifth person, are probably pretty good. When you go to the G League, you might not be going to the best team, and you have to, rise above all that. But having said this, Jeff, as a pure GM, because you can equate it to football, you can equate it to basketball. What do they always like? Like, dude, I'm going to go to the combine. I'm going to throw. I'm going to run. I'm going to bench press. I'll do whatever interview you want because I'm that confident. And the GM goes, damn, I like that in you. The same way with this kid. If I'm an NBA GM right now going, he's not going to hide. He's not going to sit out. He's not going to go like overseas to some lower level tier team. Just say, you know what? I'm going to put up 35 points and 10 every night. He's going to the most competitive situation he can go and says, you know what? I'm good enough to do that. I love that if I'm a GM.
No, I 100% agree with you. I would be much more inclined to take this kid or a kid over in Europe, any overseas. If you're willing to go play against other professionals, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I've said on record many times, I would much rather have a European that has played for 4 or 5 years against grown men than someone that's, beaten up in the likes of Citadel and Southern Mississippi every week. That's just that simple. And this kid, you got to give him some love. I mean, he was touted. A lot of these programs wanted. And good for him to say, fuck the NCAA. I'm not going to go and be used. I'm going to go. I'm going to get paid for my time, and I'm going to get what I'm deserving. And look, if he makes it, he makes it. It's going to be a whole lot sweeter because he did it his own way. He made the decision. But he's got to also remember, if he doesn't and falls flat on his face, you can't go back and say, oh, I want to go to college now. You can go to college, but you ain't playing basketball in college.
Yeah, because I eventually think the NBA is going to settle on something, Jeff, with the G League, where you can go be, don't have to go to high school and still get, let's just say the Sixers draft you, number 1 overall, right? You have the rights to the guy. You can send him to the G League for 2 years, but he's still going to get his Zion Williams 4 years, $44 million deal. I think that works well. And also from the college aspect, I don't think college really gets hurt at all from this. Again, because we didn't see Kobe in college. We didn't see LeBron in college.
Right.
Those kids are still be the same. We'll enjoy it just as much because you're like me, Jeff, being a basketball, junkie, so to speak, watching these games. We enjoy Sun Belt and we enjoy, Conference USA just as much as we do the Power 5 schools. So I don't think it really hurts the college game, but I do think it actually hurts the NBA game a little bit if you just let them jump right away, because you see so many of these players get caught like, boy, he really wasn't ready to draft. But that's on the NBA GM, and that's on your scouting department. It's not on the kid. Don't fault the kid for coming out going number 3 overall, snagging $40 million and stinking. That's not his fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, for all these people that say it's going to ruin college, that's not going to happen. I mean, you might, instead of having 1 of 10 players, maybe 3 of 10, but it's not going to cumulatively affect it too much. I'll tell you this, though, Donnie. If I was Jalen Green, I would have did the same exact thing. You got to go and be the best against the best. That's how you could become better. Donnie, I remember when I was younger, there was a kid that I went to high school with. He was one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. And I remember one time asking him, I said, how'd you get so good at basketball? Because some of these kids aren't necessarily as physically talented as others. He said, you know what my dad used to do when we were younger? I could have stayed and played at the playgrounds with, my friends, but my dad took me into the city and he made me play against the toughest players. And that's how you become the best. You go and play the best. You go against the best. They might beat you down.
Yep.
But that's how you become better. And good for this kid for doing that. I hope he succeeds. I'm going to root for him because you can go and just hide on the Duke and, do your thing like most of these Kentucky kids do. And you'll get your NBA spot. You're never going to make big money. One of you might, 2 of you might, but good for him. I hope he does well. I really do. I hope he succeeds and hope he gets a big contract someday.
No, it should be fun to watch, but it's one of those things that's moving forward. And me and Jeff are always on the same page with stuff like, enough with the doomsdayers out there. If this kid goes pro and he goes number 1 overall by going to the G League, nobody's ever going to play college again. If you realize how many people actually make the NBA and succeed in the NBA, there's 2 rounds in the NBA and only 1 is guaranteed money.
Keep in mind,
you have to be elite to get there.
Keep in mind, I remember, did you ever watch the Lenny Cook movie, Donnie?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, Lenny Cook was a guy that no one ever knew about, but he was better than LeBron and Amari Stoudemire. It was the same year. He was the best player in the country.
I know who you're talking about now. Go ahead.
Right.
Yep.
At the beginning of the movie, there was a guy. They were all sitting there. Carmelo, everybody, they're all sitting in a room listening to a guy speak about money. And he talks about, you've got to understand, there are 7 billion people on this planet. You know how many shoot up in the NBA on day 1? Like 400. He goes, you're truly 1 in a million. People don't understand how hard it is to go to the harder than hockey, harder than baseball, harder than the NFL. The single hardest is the NBA. And until recently, there's not necessarily a great farm system for the NBA. You don't go to the MLB, won't go to AAA or AA, and you make some money. Until recently, the G League was a fucking joke.
Yeah, you're 18 swimming with Michael Jordan in his prime at 27. Yes. Correct.
Look, if he makes it, he deserved it, and he should make it. Good for him.
Props to look. I don't think it's the right. If I'm his agent and I'm his parents, I don't think it's the right decision. But if I'm an NBA GM and this kid goes, put me up against the best, I'll show you what I got. I can't argue with it, Jeff. I certainly can't.
You can't.
All right, that'll do it for today's hot topic. A nice one here to break up the monotony. somebody going pro. We'll see if he goes pro, see if it works out,
I'm just happy I don't got to break down on when do I think WWF coming back. Look, I don't know, okay? Stop asking me. I have no idea, okay? It seems like I said yesterday, it seems like every time we hear good info, like I saw the NBA today, there's growing optimism. The NBA will be back. 6 hours later, nope, not going to happen. One state said no, so it ain't going to happen. I'm sick of hearing about it. Let's just see when it happens.
Exactly. Look, if we're talking about stuff in weeks, Jeff, and I mean, like, well, hey, in the next 2 weeks doesn't look like the NBA is going to come back. I understand that, but when you start throwing this out here, like, don't expect it in August or September. I'm saying, can we just take a step? Because if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out.
And we should have probably talked. And I'm sure. What's today? Is today Friday or
Thursday? Yeah, I don't even know.
Okay,
I gotta ask my wife what day it is. Thursday.
So tomorrow, I think we should talk about these college football doomsdayers. That they're talking about something that's 6 months down the road, and they don't know what they're doing. Listen, we don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, golf ain't gonna happen. Golf will get postponed or something. We're not exactly ready. One of the caddies,
the assistant caddy, the assistant caddy came down with it.
He has it, so no one can do it now. Not just, hey, we have someone that has it. Let's just go get a new caddy because 15% of the country's unemployed. So I'm sure we can find somebody.
That's true.
No,
it is. Yeah, that's, by the way, tomorrow will be Friday, Jeff. We will label that a doomsday edition of Hot Topics tomorrow. So
great way to head into the weekend.
Since we're not on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have a nice doomsday episode on Friday. So make sure you tune in. RadioPubSportsRadio.com. He's Jeff Nadu. I'm Donnie Seymour. Tune in tomorrow. Doomsday.